Welcome to News, Booze, and What We Choose with Danielle and Dami.
Grab a drink, get the news, and come hang out with us.
Well, if you are watching, you can see that we're actually in the same room.
Touch you.
Holy crap. Um, and what's awesome about that is that Damiana actually, cheers, made us a drink in person. So I don't have to just pour from a bottle like I normally do. What did you make us?
I made us a delicious upscale sangria, or as the lady on TikTok said, sangria.
Mm, no, it's better sangria. What do you say? Cucumber? An onion?
My sweet grandma says strawberries.
Strawberries. No, it's actually really, really good. And she even has a fancy little blood
Mm.
orange
Or
slice
like
in the top.
dehydrated orange. Yep, it's pretty good.
Delightful.
Yeah.
So yeah, the fun thing is this weekend we're gonna go to the Oakland Zoo together
Hmm.
and we're gonna try our best because yes, since we're in the same room, we're used to staring at our computers and looking at each other. But we're gonna look at each other, but then still look back here. So it's not as weird. Because for me, I'm like still used to looking at the computer, but
Hmm.
we are going to go to the Oakland Zoo tomorrow. So we're bringing our boys and her husband to
Yay.
the Oakland Zoo. Um, it'll be fun, but yeah, that's why we're together.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So since we last cheers, what's been up with you?
Well, went on a hike with the cousins last weekend and just kind of very much lived up to the whole your weekend is their childhood.
Oh,
I
yeah.
saw that quote ages and ages ago, and I just live that up. Even if I want to just have a lazy weekend, I just make sure I don't just keep them cooped up in the house. We
Hmm.
go do something, even if
Yeah.
it's a walk, even if it's just being outside. I want them to see sunshine. I want them to be able to play, climb, all
Hmm.
the things. So we went on a hike at Lake Natoma, which is in Folsom. So I think overall they had, 10 out of 10. At the end, they're like, can we go home? Because I think they had enough outdoor time. But overall, I definitely think they just had a really good time. And it was, like I said, try to get them outside.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's pretty cute. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we try to do that too. Just like go to the park, even if it's just like the one down the street and get them going.
Mhm.
Since we last cheers, honestly, it's been this like weird calmness for the past like 2 weeks. That I've just been like enjoying like being like still my little taskmaster self. Like I have a list and I get through everything. But there's like more time to breathe and it's kind of like scary. And I'm like, wait, I don't have 20 boxes to put away.
Okay. So that's actually what I was impressed about because I saw what it used to look like. And on the other side of this computer is living room. What is this considered?
Dining room. There's just no dining room table there.
Okay, so living room, dining
Or
room.
formal
And
dining
I just
room.
remember seeing the boxes when you showed me
Yeah.
around. And so I was expecting there would be a corner, but no, no
This
boxes.
whole like space was just like filled to the brim with boxes, and it was so hard because I was mentally just like tapped out of like, where the heck do I put this shit? There's like nowhere to actually put it. So anyways, it's been very nice. I went to the city this week twice for work, and I felt like such a city girl. Like I am so drinking the Bart Kool-Aid, even though this whole week Bart was like
Is that
messing with everyone's shit.
is that right there?
It's literally right there. But I just like I love the vibe. And my niece came to visit me at work and we sat in the like on the top floor. I felt like a very techie, like it like that girl, whatever they call it.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah,
How
it was
did
fun.
she stay with you?
She came over probably like at 1, and then we like worked from the cafe and chatted and like took meetings together, like separately at tables.
And she
And
doesn't
she
work
left
for
at like 3:30.
she doesn't work for
No.
oh, well, that would be fun.
It's cute, but she lives in the city, so it's
Well,
fun.
okay, if I didn't have the kiddos with me at all times, 24/7,
Yeah.
I would definitely consider that one of the days because I work from the
Yeah.
computer, so I could definitely do that.
It was a really fun vibe because the coffee, like it's a really nice coffee bar. You can order anything. They have sandwiches and treats, and it's all free.
No, I remember you told me to visit when I was pregnant with Forrest.
Did you visit? No,
Yeah.
you did.
Yeah, and then you showed me one of the times we rode around on a bike.
Oh,
And
I
then
do remember
and then
this.
another time I was pregnant and I got to park in the family parking lot spot right in the front
Ah,
next to the cafeteria. And you brought me in and I remember it was like really awesome. Like you guys have like really cool stations in there.
yeah, it's a good company.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
So we are supposed to talk about the news. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Danielle and I agreed we didn't want to talk too much about the T word just because I feel like we're mentally tapped, but we know that this is not the time to like
Well,
lay down on shit. So we're gonna talk a little bit about it, but
so what's funny enough is last week what I realized was the first time we actually put his name in the title.
I know that's weird. Did
And
we get peeps from
no, we
oh,
actually got restricted. We only had like 7 views on Instagram when we normally get like 1,000 something.
what?
So we got restricted. I was gonna say that for you. I forgot. I was gonna tell you earlier, but I forgot. Yeah, because that was the first video of ever
We got restricted on Instagram?
TikTok. No,
TikTok,
no, YouTube.
YouTube, because you can't say his name,
Allegedly, allegedly
his full name, or you can't put it in the title
in
because
the
we've
title,
said
I
his
think.
name.
No, we've said it, but in the title, we've never put just hard T, Trump.
So do we change the title so that we get more views?
No, I just wanted to do it as a test. I was like, okay, well, that's
Good to
because
know.
that one actually was the first one we went over 1,000 views on Instagram, but then on YouTube, only like 7.
Interesting.
And every other one was like thousands and whatever.
Okay.
So there is definitely a restriction thing happening. That's for damn
That's
sure.
fun. Good to know.
Hmm.
Okay, so the one piece of news that I feel like everyone is mainly focused on this week is the big beautiful bill, as it is called. I'm not calling it that way.
You're gonna need to elaborate because I did hear whispers about this, but I haven't read deeply into it. What's going on?
Okay, so some of the main, I guess, like headlines, there's a lot to it. There are some like things that you're kind of like, okay, that's not terrible, but like, what's the catch kind of feeling? Was this the best decision and how we do this? But so one is millions could lose food assistance under the GOP's big, beautiful bill. Millions of low-income Americans, including families with children, could lose their food stamp benefits under House Republicans' newly passed tax and spending cuts package, according to a Congressional Budget Office. And then the tax changes in the package would add 3.8 trillion to our national debt, which we would fill. So you would fill it. What I was hearing from like financial analysts, experts in this were they were saying like we would fill it like in your credit card APRs.
APR.
Thank you. And if you're trying to buy a home, you might see the effects there. So there's definitely like areas where like we're just kind of talking about like how the national debt doesn't feel like this real thing. It feels like this like kind of fake
So
number
I
that
did
just keeps
see
rising.
something where it was like we hear every single time that's like trillions are being loaned here,
Mhm.
trillions are being loaned there. But this was the first time it's been announced in quite some time that apparently we haven't had perfect credit or something for as I'm like, well, how
Oh,
is that even possible
yeah.
if we're in this much debt,
Yeah.
trillions in debt? But then this is the first time that we don't have perfect credit as the United States.
It's really interesting. I'm not sure. It may be like how we do things too,
I'm
like how things are
wondering.
presented. I'm not sure, but that is another thing that like you may see later as an individual is like how your credit is weighed against you. And then well, some of the other things, just kind of banking off from memory, was a tax credit for increase from 2,000 to I believe 2,500 for each child, falling within a certain range. So that one's like,
Is that starting next year?
I would think so.
Obviously.
He also added I think they called it a Trump account for kids, for babies who were born within 2025 to 2028. I believe that's like his term, right? That
They're gonna be called the Trump babies.
I don't know. It's a Trump account, and I don't know how it works. But what I had read was that like essentially like kind of like I think it's like a 529, but like a separate account that like would increase in value. Um, like a savings account essentially that they could use for college or first time home purchase.
Hmm.
So I don't know. It's hard to take that stuff and be like, is this gonna last? What's the catch? But
Well,
like
I have
if
a
they're
feeling because if he's only to term what 2028, what's to say that that's like, okay, so everything he did,
Mhm.
this is now going to carry over into the next. Like, is that going to be valid? Or is it going to expire? Is there going to be a deadline to withdrawal? Like anything like that?
I don't know. The other thing too, that I think maybe for next time that we meet is I'd love to do like a little bit of a deeper dive into what he's doing with Medicare, what he's not doing with Medicare, because there's been a lot of that floating around and people are devastated. So especially if like there's so many like elderly people
Medicare,
who,
Medicaid.
yeah, who are dependent on that, but also on food stamps and food support. So people like my grandma who I mentioned earlier, like she gets Medicare. She gets lots of, other
Is it
benefits.
Medicare or Medicaid? Because
I think that's
elders is Medicaid. Medicare
is it the in between?
is that like before
No,
a
I
certain
think it is
age?
both. See, we need to do more
And then
research.
there's
So
Medi-Cal.
I need to understand. So I actually had to look this stuff up once, maybe like 2 years ago. And so I vaguely remember that it was like kind of around this, it's like about the same stuff. But I will do a little bit more digging and let's talk about it next time because
Yeah.
I don't have like that knowledge. Maybe also it'd be like a cool time to like bring in someone who does. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, we have a couple people like
Yeah.
in our brain that are like good opportunities of a
Yes.
third person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely would be interested in that. And potentially even like a lawyer to go through like the logistics of what can legally be carried over term to term. I don't know if that would
Well,
be necessarily. Oh, wait, my cousin's a political lawyer, but I don't think she would be on. She would never be on this podcast, I don't think. No, I have a cousin who is a political lawyer. She works at the Capitol, but I personally don't know what information she can maybe give us.
but I mean, think about like Trump comes into office and he gets rid of like something that Obama does or something that Biden does. So it doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily mean that like something can stick around.
And that's what I'm
Because
wondering about the
yeah,
like if these kids have like the savings or whatever was born between 2025,
they might even
2028.
take that away if they
Well,
actually go through with it. And it's like I think it's called a 529. It's a certain type of savings account that you can like allocate certain money to, and that it is almost like a 401k in the sense that like you can lock it down so that you can't access it until you're a certain age, and it accrues interest versus like just putting it into a savings account where you get nothing.
and then also you can take it out if you're in an emergency and then you never put it back.
Yeah. So that's how it was vaguely described. There wasn't a whole lot of information, and I think still like with this whole the big beautiful whatever. That like a lot of this stuff is still coming forth. And honestly, if I'm like looking at this, like are we looking at this like holistically? Like if we're talking about, you know, humans starving who can't provide for themselves because maybe they're injured or whatever it is, retiring. I think I would rather that than an extra couple $100s for my kids.
Mhm.
But I mean, that's hard to say too, because
It is because you have to think about like the future for them, but also at the same time you're like, but let's think about the now here.
yeah,
That's the only shitty thing.
I
It's
feel like we
like
shouldn't have to
we
choose
shouldn't.
between these things.
We shouldn't. I feel like every generation has not had, well, I mean, I'm sure there is, especially with like the first people who did the Great Depression.
Mhm.
Who knows? But I'm saying like
We'll see.
it sucks that
Yeah.
that choices even has to be considered.
I'm not sure like if this was they all voted for it, and I think it was a really close like I think it was only one um Republican who all the Democrats said no. One Republican, I think it was like down to like the wire, literally like one person. So I don't know what's next for this, but we'll follow back up on where we land with it. Um, the next thing, we're kind of shifting gears into like what we choose, which is like our lighter slash
Not lighter. Oh,
other news. I don't want to say
definitely. I was gonna say
and
definitely,
trigger warning.
definitely not lighter in the slightest. I don't even know where I should even say the word lighter. Because there's some deep, deep, deep.
It's a genre of our it's a segment that I want to leave open for lighter news, aka like
But there's nothing light here.
like the Justin Baldoni and
Okay.
like that's like it's not news, but it's not news.
It's not news, but this today, there's no lightness
Yeah,
whatsoever. So there's major trigger warnings, major, if you don't care about paranormal stuff either, then I guess this doesn't affect you, but whatever. Anyway.
you should.
Okay.
It's fun at
Yeah.
the least.
So finally we're talking about stuff up my wheelhouse after all these episodes. So the Notoway Plantation, I'm sure you saw the video. I posted like two different angles, and two different people, two different videos, but there's one super crazy spooky. So in Louisiana, there the Notoway Plantation burned down coincidentally the same time the Annabelle doll, the real life Annabelle doll, that if you've ever seen the Conjuring
I
movies,
did not know there was a real Annabelle doll. What do you
yeah,
mean? Like the one that they made for the movie or
no, the one
like
that they based the movie on.
oh, I didn't know that there was one with the
You do know, okay, whoa, let's rewind.
I'm getting chills.
No, the Warrens are real people.
The who?
The Warrens,
I
those
don't think I've
two,
seen all the Annabelles. I don't know if I've seen
no,
Annabelle
The
at all, actually.
Conjuring. Oh my God, we
I
have to
have
show
seen
all
The
right.
Conjuring.
Okay, the two, the man and the wife, husband and wife.
I feel like I get the chills.
The husband and wife, though, you remember, right?
Yes, yeah.
Those are based off real people. They have an actual room, just like in the movies. They have a room in their home with all of these things they took from these hauntings, possessions, things that they took these artifacts and have it in a protected room that an actual priest comes by to do the holy water and do the whole like thing. No, they're based off real humans. Like there is a whole thing. Like the Warrens were real people.
That, you know what? And
That's why every movie says based on a true story.
oh, I didn't even realize that.
Every single Conjuring movie is based on a true story and they're based on real people.
The Conjuring is really
The
freaking scary.
The whole
That is
series.
scary.
So that's the Conjuring movies, Annabelle movies, The Nun. Um, then there's another
So the
one.
real Annabelle doll
Real.
was touring.
So they're touring.
Why are we bringing this
Okay.
like icky bad
Okay.
juju
Okay. That's my main question.
doll?
Why would you bring this thing out of the box and tour it city to city? And keep in mind, coincidentally, Annabelle's first stop was in Louisiana, and then the plantation burned down.
Where is it close by?
Who knows? But I kind of like this.
I like it too.
Because if you look, and I posted this, I don't know if you watched it, but there is a video going around where it shows the video footage of, and it could have obviously AI is being really great lately because like they can make things look real. But there's videos of the actual plantation burning down, and you can see in the windows there's people moving around inside.
So the first video of like the front view of the plantation, I couldn't see it. I was like, that just looks like windows. But then there was a second video where like you could see someone like walking by, and that was not on fire. That one wasn't on fire.
That one was on fire.
That one was on fire. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Just a different. Oh, that's a different angle.
Different angle.
That I saw.
Then
Yeah, I didn't like
you
that.
can see shadowy figures on like fire, like as if they're finally being freed. Because it's like a major, that's why like that's why there's that video of like the firefighter, the black firefighter that's studying, was like, oh, and he pulls out a chair and sits down and just watches it burn out. He's like,
yeah.
and like thinks about like, ooh, what should I do next?
And then when I saw that was the song Usher playing the Let It Burn song. Yeah.
And then there's another one of two women, and they're also black, and they literally are just taking selfies, like yeah, and like super cheersy.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely because there's a lot of horror stories from that plantation, like just history and stuff. So coincidence? Who knows? But this is also homework. You need to watch the Conjuring movies.
It is, but also like retribution. So that's amazing. Congratulations to the spirits at the Notoway
And
Plantation.
hopefully they did get released into happy places into the afterlife.
Did you at all have like any thoughts like while you were looking at this story about Blake Lively and her husband getting
Oh,
married at a plantation?
well, that's why a lot of people are like, you guys suck. Like they, okay, pictures, beautiful. But then if you look back in the background, you're like, probably not ideal to have a plantation as your background of your wedding, and you literally had your wedding on the premises. What are the pictures? I haven't seen them in so long, but I remember when that was such a big deal. Blake Lively,
And she apologized for that too.
wedding plantation. Girl, are you sick of apologizing or what?
You know,
Yeah.
there was a time where like
Oh wait, same with different people. Oh wow, they got their images scrapped. It's no longer Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds showing up on the image search anymore.
oh, I never saw it,
They got,
honestly. I think I have to
I
go.
did back in the day when Perez Hilton.
Oh,
So, oh wait. So yeah, you can definitely see that's the plantation, but their images are scrapped from Google now.
that's what happens when you have a lot of money.
I guess actually I heard recently it only costs $50,000 to take anything off the internet.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, there's a
No.
lot of people. That sucks.
I mean, I don't think that,
A lot of white people.
yeah, and I think that there was like this time in history where after like where the United States wasn't racist. I'm doing air quotes if you're listening, guys. Um, like, do you remember that? Like where people were like we didn't talk about
No.
race really, but like meanwhile, people of color were totally being abused by their either schoolmates, colleague, like whatever it was, and it was like probably like like passive aggressive, whatever. It's
Do
fucking
you
racism.
remember
But
like
like,
a
yeah.
lot of music bands? Wow, my grandma. A lot of these music bands. Don't you remember a lot of that would have like the Confederate flag in their freaking
Ew,
we had redneck parties and
we did.
like your birthday. I was actually a redneck party.
My birthday was a redneck party.
That was the redneck
Why are
party.
you telling people this? We're
No.
cutting that out.
No, okay. Mind you, it was at Charlie's house, so I
There was no
firmly believe.
Confederate flag.
No, there wasn't a Confederate flag. I'm just saying, if you coincide the stereotypes, you're gonna think back in the day, you're gonna think Confederate flag.
But no, okay. For the record, the redneck party, people brought Natty Ice and like what was like the other beer that we used to drink?
Oh my God, what was that really cheap beer?
Coors Light. Like Coors Light. And we had a Lightning McQueen. Actually, Charlie just found it. And that wasn't my birthday, by the way. That was for Brian whatever's. And I think OJ's birthday. Not my birthday.
Calling them out.
But I'm sure we helped with the theme because it was at our house. But it was a Lightning McQueen backdrop. So it was like NASCAR kind of themed.
Oh
And
yeah, no,
people were like Daisy Dukes, and we had a swim party. There was no racism.
no, I'm not. I never said there was racism. I'm just
Don't
saying.
tie me in with the freaking having a wedding at freaking, what's it called at a I don't even know,
Plantation. No, I
plantation.
was just saying, usually you think redneck, you think Confederate flag. But back in the day, bands from the South had no problem using that flag. And now you're thinking
I think
triple
that,
before you do that.
yeah, I think that people were not talking about it as much.
Mhm.
People were like passively aggressive, and maybe aggressively too, obviously being racist, but
Speaking of the
it
person
just,
that you just named, he used to love racist jokes.
yeah, that kind of shit like makes me, I'm like, how the
How did
hell
we tolerate
did I
it?
sit in a room with this human who was awful. Yeah, I don't even want to talk about it. Anyways,
I did
so
more than sit in a room.
um,
Anyway, so Diddy trial.
yes. On to lighter news.
Yes,
Trigger warning before. This
definitely. And yeah,
it's brutal.
there's
Lots of
no,
abuse. No laughing.
no jokes,
Mm-mm.
no laughing matter. So I did take some screenshots of some of the Kid Cudi, who was actually one of the people on trial, or not people on trial for the Diddy trial. He was one of the, because Cassie finished out her husband. We already talked about that. Her husband did the statement. Kid Cudi is the one that was dating Cassie, and then it was like known throughout this whole thing, and we'll put the link to all the stuff and all the screenshots. But basically, Cassie dated Kid Cudi in 2011, so it was after Diddy, and he was not happy about it. So he goes in, his real name is Scott Muscudi. So when you see that name in the transcripts of the case, obviously you'll know Scott Muscudi, Kid Cudi. Well, basically, it goes into they dated in 2011. Sean Combs found out. Um, he was extremely not happy about it. In December of 2011, law enforcement responded to his home. There was a break-in. Cassie called him around 5:30 or 6 a.m. Sean Combs had found about them. He was not happy about it. There was and there's also animal abuse mentioned in here that I think I will omit because
Mm.
allegedly Sean Combs or one of his henchmen injured Kid Cudi's dog
Oh,
because they tried to break in and the dog was there. So yeah, he's an absolute like even though he is a piece of shit that we already know that he needs to like burn in eternal hellfire, you injure a dog. So basically it said it was again, it was in December, so it was Christmas time. Um, when he went back into his home, the gifts were open. Some stuff I got from Chanel, and my dog was locked up in the bathroom. How did you usually leave your dog? I let him roam around the house. How long had you had your dog? 3 years. What changes in behavior after the dog? He was very jittery, on edge at all times. Um, when I got back in, I was looking for him. I wanted to fight him. Did he answer? Yeah, he said, I'm on my way. I thought to myself, okay, objection. And then he was object like, this is like not okay to talk about, like their argument and fight that they had. And then,
this is a fight that he had with Diddy.
yeah,
So Kid
because
Cudi.
Cassie and Diddy were dating first, and then Cassie started dating Kid Cudi.
Hmm.
You can't date anybody after Diddy, apparently, because
Like she had broken up with him, but he just was like,
she finally got free. I
yeah.
don't even think it was a breakup. I think she just finally got free.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, basically, um, he broke into my house. He hurt my dog. My dog's babysitter called me and told me my car was on fire. So he had either himself or his henchman blew up his car. And that was like the big thing, like back. That's what, like, there's pictures too. See? Um, and I'll also put these in the story, but this is all, if you're wanting day by day updates, highly recommend. I've said this before, the Talk of Shame on Instagram. She also posts on TikTok, but she posts going through the transcripts, going through all of the court proceedings, going through all of the paperwork, images, pictures, all the things. She covers it all. So highly recommend. Um, Diddy apparently did like apologize for all the bullshit and just like kind of try to lump it together, like, oh, I just apologize for all the bullshit.
Interesting.
Um, you tried to injure his animal, broke into his house during Christmas time, opened all those presents.
Opened all his presents.
That's what one of the things, remember? It was like, oh, and then I like opened things, and then there was Chanel for
Oh,
Cassie. So I'm sure he saw like her name on presents and he got
uh-huh.
pissed off. And then Molotov cocktail in the car, blew up his car. So
He's such a loony.
yeah.
Worse than a lunatic. I mean, honestly, he's a psychopath.
I just want to know, like, is he actually going to get put away? Because for the love of God, if he somehow finagles his way out of not having to serve like
I don't
the
think it
rest of his
seems like
life,
that. It seems like there's so much against him that how could he possibly like no.
Oh, and also side note, Aubrey O'Day. Yeah, Audrey or Aubrey O'Day from Danity Kane, the blonde one that everyone knows like is the front person for it. She was supposed to be taking the stand, but she's not. However, she started a podcast talking about the Diddy trial. So if
Interesting.
you're interested in
Hmm.
hearing her take, even though she's not technically supposed to take the stand, needs to take the stand or denied to take the stand, but then to create a podcast anyway. I don't know.
It's kind of wild.
She has a podcast now talking about the whole thing. So that's something to follow,
Welcome to the podcast crew.
along with a billion of us.
We've been here for 14 episodes.
We're experts.
Maybe on our like 28th, we'll have two cameras when we're together.
Oh my God, we'll have multi cameras. I mean, technically, we do have a second camera, but it was just like we don't have enough
How would we?
adapters.
Yeah, no, we're okay. So, should we move on to the good news we're sipping?
Please.
Okay.
That wasn't even light news, so we definitely need to shift over to
It's
later news.
called what we choose. That was our section. What we choose.
Mhm. Go to the light news. So there was one thing that I definitely saw. I posted in our story, but it was so precious. So I want to say they're high school age. They definitely were not younger than high school age, but they're high school age kids. And this kid who couldn't, and you can see it was like a student in the seat already, like holding up the phone.
Mhm.
But a student walked up and realized he got a sweater, like their class sweater that everyone else was able to afford, but he couldn't, and they bought it for him. So they collectively put their money together and bought him a sweater who couldn't afford it, and he started
Sweet.
crying. And it was the most precious thing.
Oh.
And it just shows like I can imagine what it was like, probably $65. I'm gonna assume
Mhm.
$70. Like they're not gonna charge an arm, who knows? But they're not gonna charge an arm and a leg for a high school sweater.
Mhm.
But just putting $5 in each and like getting him a sweater meant the world to him. And it
Yeah.
wasn't even like taking, what is it called? Like when you're taking charity. It
Yeah.
wasn't like you're taking charity. It was like literally a collaborative effort. Like they valued this student, their classmate, their peer,
Mhm.
and they got him something that he could not get himself. And it was just such a beautiful video. So I'll include that in the description because it was just such a cute
Cute.
video of him just going, seeing it, seeing his smile on his face, and then like literally tearing up and like holding the sweater that he got like over his face. So he when he was starting to cry.
It's so sweet. He's gonna remember that too forever.
And
Like
he's probably
that kindness.
he's going to instill that probably in his life when he's able to provide for someone else too. He's probably going to do the same thing, like kind of the
Mhm.
pay it forward thing. And that's what's beautiful is those tiny little acts. Like again, people probably only had to put like $5 in, and that's like
Mhm.
nothing for some people, but a lot for others.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Oh, I
Mhm.
love that.
Mhm.
So my good news I'm sipping is from Cakes. Cakes is this brand.
I was gonna say I've never heard of this before, so I was like, "What is
You haven't
this?"
heard of Cakes?
Oh,
Life
no,
changing. Okay, I would like take mine out right now, but
no, I legitimately
I don't have them on.
no. I read this when you put it down. I was like, "Cakes and
Cakes.
ounces." I'm like, "Cakes like the things you
So
bake."
2 weeks ago, when I was talking about the cake, like baking the cake, and I was playing with something in my hand, and Danielle was like, "Girl, you should put that down." I was holding my cakes in my hand, and I said, "Ha, shout out to Cakes," and I said that like that. I figured that flew
Right
over.
over my head.
Yeah, so it's a brand of nipple covers that are like better than it's a great invention because back in the day, like
Okay, that
Hollywood.
sentence makes so much more sense now.
What was that brand like? It's still around. Like you go into like Walgreens and it's like Hollywood. But they make like bra.
I know exactly what you're
You know what
talking
I'm talking
about,
about?
and
It's
I'm
like
like
comes like in a
looking
pink
into
box called Hollywood something.
Protector, Agent Protector.
Something like that. But anyway, so they used to make these, but they were teeny tiny and they were like literally just cover. I was like, they're teeny tiny and they're just your nipple.
Bless your heart.
No, they were really small and they were thin.
No, you
So
don't. It's not like you have like tiny little like teacup boobs. Like I'm surprised that they even work on you because we
no,
literally.
the Hollywood ones you would wear for like if you like back in the day, like not for nipple coverage, but like if you had a backless bra and like you needed something. So I started to
Could
wear
never
them.
be me.
but Cakes came out with like a better one that's like thicker and actually gives you lift, and like and it's in better shape too. And so it's really a beautiful,
And
like
it
if
works
you've
for
never tried
big
it,
boobs.
it works for big boobs, works for small boobs. You can get different colors.
I did the whole old school trick where you literally just wear it and then
Try
you
them out.
fold the straps in
Mhm.
and just tuck them in and
And
have
you
like
can wash them.
weird imprints on your
Oh
boobs
yeah.
after it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then they donate part of their like revenue to breast cancer research. So they're just an all-around great company. So the good news part of this is not
I was
just
about to
about
say,
Cakes itself and
well,
how great they are,
yeah.
but they just announced that they will be paying for childcare for their employees with small children.
That's the video. So I
Mm.
saw, okay, I saw that.
It's like mic
Um,
drop right there.
Sarah Foster, she always posts like the good news stuff, and that's where I
Mhm.
got the classmates one from
Ah,
because I've been following her forever. She always likes to, because she posts a lot of the dark, like the things that's like these people are cruel, they're horrible humans, and then she posts really good balance of like these are people I want to shout out, they're amazing, oh my God, wonderful. That's where I saw a
yep.
glimpse of that video. She had a different one where it was like closed captioning and it was like just like a really small segment of it. And then you posted the full.
Yeah.
So hers was like a very short clip and I saw the short clip version. So you posted the full one, but that people were starting to cry, like the people who
People,
were.
I was crying watching it because it is so incredibly hard. Like I almost want to cry now. Um Figuring out childcare when you work,
They're just
and
with me all the time.
I don't know how you do. Well, you work from home and
Yeah.
you and like finding a work from home job, not easy anymore.
No, I'm so lucky. And
But
where
also
I
not everyone can do that because your company itself is like
or
it's
if they require you to be back in the office at least 2 days a week.
mhm.
My company, we are one of the lucky ones where they're forever going to be remote because we're
But
all over the United
even
States.
but just the cost is like it makes you question like why you're working because the cost to put them in childcare is beyond. I mean, there was a place that we were looking at that was going to be $6,000 a month to put both of them in childcare.
So basically, you would be working and your entire pay would go into childcare.
Yeah. Um, I think I make a little bit more than 6K, maybe. I forget. But still, like it's
But that
so
is
much that like you couldn't pay your rent. You
no.
couldn't pay
Imagine
your
being a
on your
single
do you
mom
need a
and try
car?
no, imagine being a single mom
No.
having to do
Groceries?
childcare, take care of your children, buy them the things they need to survive,
Yeah.
pay for your rent, pay for your car, pay for the groceries, and the childcare all lumped
It's
in together. Like
it's
does
so overwhelming as a woman to like to have decide to have children or a child
and people wonder
and
why
have
so
a
many people
career.
aren't doing it anymore.
Yeah. Well, and that was part of their stance is like we want women in the workplace. That's what like they're standing behind like DEI. Like they're like we're putting our money where our mouth is. Like we want you at the table and we don't want you to sacrifice your
Stress.
career. We don't want you to stress. Like this is like it's a short time, right? Between like you like maternity leave and then like it's long and it's painful when you don't have the help, but it is short in terms of like then they go to school or TK at like 3 or 4. So like why as a company, if you can, why wouldn't you? And I think it ended up being like 36K ish like per like
36,000.
yeah,
I just pulled it up.
a year.
Wow, okay, pop-ups galore. Hi, Bloomberg. You
Yeah.
need to fix that. Oh my God. Oh, I can't read it unless I pay for it.
No, it's okay, but that was like that was
Yeah.
the main fact. It was like the 36K like a year. And if you're a bigger corporation,
That
like in
is
the grand
so
scheme of
much.
things, that's like that would mean so much to me as an employee if my company did that. And actually I was just reading a totally different article about and this was on LinkedIn, but it was about like an employer who was interviewing a candidate and the candidate had asked what is your like your like maternity leave, like what are your benefits for women like who are, planning for family. And I think like one that says like what a different world we live in, because back in the day you would not bring that up because it would like it could signify to an employer or potential employer that you're not serious, that you're going to take time off. And it was like, it had this negative connotation. But now
Or you
it's like,
hide it.
or you hide it, and you tell them 2 weeks before, like crazy. So we've come
That
a
was
long
me.
way.
Because I just got the job. I had just gotten the job, and even they're like, you can take off longer than you need. And I was like, no, 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 because I need to be able to pay rent and stuff. And they're like, but you're welcome to take longer than. And I was like, but it's not paid yet because through California you have to work a
Mhm.
certain amount. And so they felt bad, but it was like some companies don't give two shits.
Yeah.
They're like, get back to work. I don't care.
And I'm sure that like, yeah, there are companies out there like that still, but it just says so much more if you really want to
Mhm.
create a meaningful work environment to support like your workforce, and your workforce, there are women there. And the men too, like you guys also deserve
And if there's not,
a
then you should probably
maternity
take a look
leave.
inward if there's no women in your company.
Yeah, please. And at the top as well. But yeah, so anyway, so that was just something that I've been carrying. I immediately was like,
It's
is
amazing.
Cakes hiring? They are not.
Okay, so we'll definitely, I think we'll find a different article that you can actually read without having to pay for the subscription,
Oh
but
yeah.
we'll definitely include a link to the company at least.
Hmm.
How we'll do that. We'll include
Yeah.
a link to the company so you can at least learn a little bit more about the company itself. If
Yeah.
they're hiring in your area, then there you go.
I didn't see anything. Yeah, there wasn't a single job
You're
opening.
like,
They were like, we're locked in, we're done, guys.
I wonder why. Because they treat their freaking employees like freaking princes or princesses.
Oh, I'm just
Um,
kidding. I don't want to leave my company.
you're like, I love you so much. Anybody listening to this, that means nothing. I swear.
Okay, so let's go into what we watched.
Okay, so I actually, surprisingly enough, usually I'm the one who brings like a shit ton of things to the table. Okay, I have like a buzz in my eye, so if you keep seeing me touch my eyeball, it's why. So if you see it, you let me
Pull
know,
out for her.
please. The beautiful reason as to why we're next to each other is that's a perk. Uh, so Poker Face, I finally am caught up to like because they're episodically, so they'll release I think like 2 episodes and then it's like 1 episode every week. So I am caught up fully to where they are now. So they're like I said, the first season was in 2023, took 2.5 years to get 2025, or not 2025, to get the second season released in 2025. Not sure why. Didn't even look into it, don't even care because I started watching it now. Um, but it is just still 5 stars out of 5 stars. So wonderfully done. Every single one is a different story. Highly recommend on Peacock. I just think in general, it's just such a good way of storytelling where it's not like you really can come into it blind.
Mhm.
Like really, because every single episode is a different story. So that's just my 2 cents. But do recommend starting from the beginning as you know the why she originally was like on the run. Now you'll see why she may not be. Um, and then the next one, have you started Secret Lives of Mormon Wives or no?
Yeah, I was catching, I'm like trying to cut, I'll talk about it, but I'm trying to cut,
Okay. Secret
it's
Lives
on
of
the list. I keep seeing all these memes and I'm like kind of jealous, but also kind of not, because
they all look the same.
they all look the same. And someone had posted, maybe it was you who had posted like my brain when I'm watching Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was, I don't even remember what it was, but it was like some like idiot kind of, like
No, it is definitely mindless entertainment.
yeah.
This wasn't gonna kill me. So Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, the second season just aired. They are gonna have the third season coming out. I'm hoping sooner than the last one.
Hmm.
From the first one. But uh, I would say 4.5 out of 5 stars. There is a
Really?
there is a bomb dropped at the end. These women put their sweat,
They're
blood,
lesbians? They are lesbians.
not all of them. There's some other
No,
things that are
all of
revealed.
them.
So they put their sweat, their blood, their tears, their families, everything on the line. They put it all into this show, and they deliver. It is not like one would think like, oh my God, this is so overproduced. No, like in real life,
You said that the first time you
I did, and I kind of want to like
You want to retract
I
it?
was like, this is a little like you can tell. No, like because in real life, the people who are that sounded delightful.
It was wonderful.
She cracked her neck, and I'm jealous. I have not been able to crack my neck to the left in years. Anyway, so there is one married couple that legitimately, she was doing like her rounds after the show. They do like their little go on every other podcast you've ever heard of,
Oh,
and they do
okay.
all those. One of them straight up said, like, you're not wearing your wedding ring. And she's like, oh, you're actually one of the first people to actually catch that. She's like, so what's going on with that? And they're like, has that anything to do with this new second season? She
Mhm.
goes, yeah, you'll see towards the end. And legitimately, because they do put it all out there, it seems like it's actually produced, but it's so real. So the fact that like these people are actually getting divorced because of this show
Mm.
and the things that they do in real life
Mhm.
that is on camera now that probably wasn't on camera before.
Can they retract it for 50K?
No, because there's pictures are pictures. But no, actions are actions, actually. I would say
True.
actions are actions. You can't retract actions.
I see where we're going with this. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Was that all you watch? That is weird.
I know, right?
I love it though. Okay. I finished Severance. Guys, I know I am late to the
I haven't even
party.
started,
Late to
so
the party is like an understatement. The party left. It's done. Um, I am confusion.
so I've
Uh,
heard some of that, and I'm like, I don't watch a show, so I'm not entirely sure like what the deal is. But I've heard that like where it's like, huh,
I'm not gonna ruin it
I don't care.
for okay. There was
Spoiler alert.
spoiler alert. Guys. There's like, and you've seen the memes probably of like the marching band. That was fun.
Yeah, they do it with emo music, and it's really funny.
Yeah. Um, but like where they end up at, and I had to watch, and I never do this. I know, like when we were watching, oh shit, I keep forgetting what the fuck it's called. Dang it.
What is it?
Uh,
Like, give me
the island one. I tried to bring it.
Lost?
No, you said that last time. We've never watched Lost together. Maybe we have actually.
No,
No,
Charlie's
I'm
trying to get
talking
me
about
into it.
fourth podcast when we first started.
White
You know,
Lotus.
yeah, White Lotus.
How did you forget that? That was like literally the
I
entire
always forget the
framework for our
name. I
show.
know, I always forget the name. Wait, where was I going with that? Because now I've forgotten.
Severance?
Oh, Severance.
Island?
Damn. Lost.
Island? Marching Man? Island?
Oh, no, I don't know. I forgot. But anyways, okay, the marching band was fun. But then there's this like scene at the end. Oh, I know what I was saying. So you would always tell me to watch like the after video
Oh, the
of
after
White,
show.
and I'm like, I don't got time for that.
Lied to me then,
I'm
because you told me that you did watch
I
them.
watched it once for the
Every single one
finale.
is so good. Did you say finale?
Finale.
God, you just said finale.
It's French.
Okay. Okay.
That was the B.
Okay. Continue.
So, anyways,
Make it fancy. Make it fancy.
croissants. Croissants. And I watched finale.
Love that season finale.
Cry. Oh, anyways, okay. So I had to watch the after whatever show for
After
Severance
show.
because I was like, what the heck just
Oh,
happened?
do they do the same thing?
I think all HBO shows do, is my
But
guess.
Severance is Apple TV.
Oh.
No, that's the reason. That's also the reason why I did, because I was like, I told you, I was like, oh, I do not need to buy another streaming service.
I'm done. Oh, well, I guess they do. I don't think they always do that for Apple shows, or at least I've never noticed it. And like I said, it's not for me.
Well, yeah,
Unless I'm confused.
there is that show. We'll come back to Severance, but there is like I'm gonna say at the top of my head, I can remember I watched three different Apple shows. They never did the after show.
Okay, so I guess for some, maybe it was just this episode because maybe they knew that everyone was gonna be like,
What the fuck?
what? So
But that's a sign of a bad show.
he
When you need to explain, it's like when you need to explain the joke for it to
maybe
be
it's not.
funny.
I don't know. I don't know. But it was very confusing. So basically, he's the main character is torn between like who is he gonna choose, and he chooses the false reality. I'm trying to not ruin this for
No,
people.
we already spoiled alert.
I know. So basically, he gets out his. Okay, you better turn this off. I'm serious. If you are gonna watch Severance,
and if you get mad,
don't get mad at
don't
me.
give us a bad rating.
Okay, please, like turn it off.
It's your own fault.
Yeah.
Blame yourself.
Basically, next I'm going to talk about Traitors, but like if you want to hear that, come back. But like if you're not, then we're done and we love you. Goodbye.
6 months ago.
Okay,
I think
yeah,
we're fine.
Sure. Okay, so anyways, so he gets his wife back. And
in the innie world or the outie world?
In the innie world. So this company has her hostage. And we don't know like what are they doing to her? Why are they doing this to her? And we're confused. We're all confused. I'm assuming we're all in the same boat. We're all confused. Like, why are they have her trapped on another floor? Okay. In the first season, they show her and she acts as a like a therapist to the normal innies, and he has no idea. And then he figures out his innie and his outie both figure out that she's on a different floor. So they go. That car is so annoying. I'm sorry. There's a car that comes all the time, leaves at the same time, and just like revs his engine.
And makes the alarms in the neighborhood go off.
Not usually the alarms, but anyways.
Real
so
shit.
Yeah. So anyway, so he also his innie has a romantic relationship with like his colleague. They're not really colleagues. And so he's like at the end of a hallway and he gets his wife out into the stairwell where she can like go and escape. And as he pushes her, he realizes he like has no connection with her because he's the innie, but he gets her out, his wife.
To the outie?
Yeah, out. But now he's going to stay because his like side piece, aka his real piece, because he's the innie, his colleague is like says his name, Mark, and he turns around and then they run throughout the floor and there's like flashing lights. And so it's like, where are you going to go? Because you guys both don't exist outside of this floor. And you don't own the building, really. You got other people who like, what's the long game? So there's going to be another season.
I would hope so.
Obviously.
Okay, so this whole time,
Mhm.
I thought innies was like an internal monologue and outies was like the real world. So I always thought innies meant like this was happening only inside of your brain, and then the outies was like the actual world that we're living in.
So
when I kept hearing innies, outies,
they go to work. So it's like me going into work. I step into the elevator and my brain, because there's probably like a chip. I think there's a chip in your brain that like scrambles your brain, and now you turn into your innie and you have no memory as an outie of what you're doing.
Is that for them to keep you working longer?
No, you have normal work hours. But what you're working on is very like odd. Like they'll show these like little pods and little different departments on the floor, and it's like very random and it gets weirder and weirder as it goes. So he falls in love with his colleague.
Work wife go. I'm just saying, if you have a work life, you're wrong with you.
And then you know nothing as an innie, you know nothing about your outie, and your outie knows nothing about you. So this is like a clash of like getting to know what they're doing and like why are they doing and who is this company looming?
Such a good movie, Clash of the Titans. I'm just saying.
It is a really interesting show, and I'm still gonna go, like I'm still gonna watch it, but it's just I'm confused.
Is this the second season?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of hullabaloo.
You know, I would really hate for them to
hullabaloo for just 2 seasons already.
Yeah, it is. And I would hate for them to like, what if they just like pull the rug on it like right now? And they're not going to, but like, what if like and you just never know,
Make the
like,
fucking people talk about the show. There's no way.
fell. Anyways,
Did you
okay.
ever watch the OA?
I did, yeah. I have an old uh friend slash like theater person who was in it.
Okay, sweet brag.
I don't know him anymore. But it was pretty
Okay.
cool. But I watched him. I was like, I know that guy.
Well, it's like my company that I'm working at now. The VP is friends with the girl that's the main character in Terrifier, but I've never seen any of the Terrifier movies because I don't care about them because I personally think that clown movies are
Oh,
meh.
yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
he also freaks me out. I don't like his face. But that's the whole point. I digress. Um, so the OA, I think it was like that where it was like
And they
the
cut it.
first season, so great. The second
Mm-hmm.
season kind of went off the rocker. They had a third season, never watched it, and then
No,
it was
I
just
didn't either.
canceled at the biggest cliffhanger ever. But that has nothing to do with the biggest cliffhanger ever on the society. I've talked about this before. It will haunt me to my dreams.
You haven't talked about this.
It will haunt me for the rest of my life
Maybe you
because
should write it. You should like fan mail or like
no,
or
they
not
have
fan mail,
so much
fan
fanfic. No, people have begged
fan fiction.
the original writer to release like what would have happened in second season because they left it on the biggest cliffhanger of all time.
It's very douchey.
Then all of a sudden it was canceled
Hmm.
because it was COVID.
Dramatic. Speaking of dramatic
I was
though.
about to say, don't talk about the hard C.
Hard C.
Good.
Oh. Um, so my last thing that I like have been eating up is Traitors. I talked about it last time. I am
Finally.
obsessed. I'm obsessed. And you know
Finally.
what? Charlie is watching it too with me. It's really funny. So I was talking about it with my mom. I was like, Mom, I love this show, blah, 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 blah. I'm like telling her about like the theatrics, the drama, the like
Alan Cummings is
Alan
just
Cummings of
so
it all, like
good.
the outfits and like just like the strategy. And I love it. And I'm so competitive that I'm like, I love this. So I'm telling my mom and Charlie because like it's stupid. And I was like, you and he
Your
walks away.
face.
And then I tell my mom, like, he has been watching it with me. And
From behind like the pillar
no,
in your
he's
house, being
sitting
like,
down and like I'm like, okay, all right. And so now we're both into it. So I'm gonna play us and like I'm gonna keep watching the rest of the seasons. And I'm so excited to watch it like in real time during spooky season. Like this seems like such a nice like disassociation from reality.
and they
Like,
do it weekly, so you get that like, oh my God, I cannot wait until next
yeah.
week's episode. If they don't do it where you can binge it and then just be over it in like week.
But by the way, Dylan.
Oh, yeah. We all rooted for the wrong brother. And it's so funny to me
I
because
still root for him
you
too.
know, Zach is great.
That's great. Yeah.
I was never a High School Musical girly, so it was like after my time.
Yeah, same.
After my time. I think
Our time.
if we were like 4 or 5 years younger, I feel like it would have been our time. But no, I've been following Dylan Efron, and I'm gonna say this because I've been following him for like 7 or 8
Sweet
years.
brag.
Yeah, exactly. I've been following for 7 or 8 years when he was just the adventure Efron, the zip lining Efron, the guy who
Cute.
goes on the things and he's like doesn't really show anything else other than like his activities. And now he's like obviously been thrusted into the popular be like, oh my God, this Efron brother, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
It is so funny to see his like complete shift because he only used to like post about like him camping in his van with his dog and like going in cliffs and doing the high wire, like little walking across the cliffs and stuff and all that stuff. And then
I want to be that high wire.
I'm sure you do because he falls on it. On that note.
Kidding.
Well,
yeah, on that note,
on
I
that
think
note,
that's all we have.
yeah, we did a couple of pour one outs. Obviously, we'll put those in the description, but
Yeah.
this is going to be not a few and far between, but we'll definitely do this again. And we'll do multicam so we don't feel like we're like awkwardly trying to make sure
I felt totally fine. Did you feel awkward?
I felt like I had to keep staring forward
I
because
know.
I'm just
I
so
was trying to
used.
get her to look at me
I'm
and she
so used.
refused to look at me, guys.
I'm so used to looking straight at the camera because every episode we look at the camera at
You
each
know
other.
why?
So I'm
You
like
know
looking
why?
at you right
You know
now.
why I feel more comfortable with this is because I go into meeting rooms with other people
Oh,
on
I never
Zoom and
do.
I'll talk to them and I'll talk to them and I'll talk to
I'll
you and I'll
never do
talk to
it.
you. Yeah. So she's,
I'm
she's new here.
I'm very new here because I'm so used to like just staring at the camera and that's like the person's like right there.
Oh,
Anywho,
this was fun.
yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll make it not often, but we'll make sure it's not just like a one in a blue moon,
Yeah,
once in a blue moon situation.
it might be.
But we will definitely talk about all the haps that happen tomorrow at Oakland Zoo.
Yay. All right. Bye, guys. Cheers.
Bye.